trying to chase after this thing that you can't catch.
Hey, what's up, man?
God damn. BJ, I'm recording!
Wow.
You son of a bitch, I told you!
I don't know you're recording.
I told
guys.
you like yesterday! I was just like, hey, I just want to let you know, man, I'm gonna be recording tomorrow.
Hello, friends. Love this.
God damn it.
We're just like, we can try again tomorrow.
No, not putting this off anymore.
Gonna take a break again?
Take a little break. Let the fucking... How's it going, guys? Welcome back to IMO The Podcast. The IMO stands for In My Ovaries. Shout out to everyone on their period.
Happy New Year! It's 2021!
Yeah. Bust it.
For those of you listening for the first time, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Reggie.
Welcome to IMO The Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about... oh, shit. Thank you for tuning in. But today we're going to be talking about what we left behind in 2020. Things we enjoy about 2021 so far, as well as some life updates. A little bit of a behind the scenes of why our episodes take so long to produce.
We get a little deep.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Poquito.
We also talk about Soul, if you haven't watched it yet. There is spoilers in this episode, so if you guys want to go watch Soul first, or Reggie will, if you're watching on YouTube, Reggie will be including a skip so you don't get all the spoilers before you watch it. But yeah, and then we also do a new little segment which we read Reddit threads, or a Reddit thread called Am I the Asshole? So we read a story from there today, so stick around if you guys want to listen to this dumpster fire.
Enjoy. So what's up with you? How you doing? How's it been? Fucking New Year.
It's 2021 now. 2020 is over, which is good. But I don't know. 2021 doesn't feel any different. Quite honest.
Yeah. I feel like each year has such a shitty transition from one to the other. But like this past transition was so fucking shitty. Like it's like having a birthday between the ages of like 21 and fuck. Yeah, it's like having a birthday between the ages of 21 to 30. Like between that, no one gives a shit unless you make them.
Yeah, honestly. On another note, we both of our birthdays. We have birthdays in like the most horrible times of the year.
Shout out to everyone who gets their Christmas gifts lumped together with their birthday gifts. I see you and I feel you.
And it's the worst because it's also like, it sucks because they're like, God, I gotta buy everyone gifts. But it's also like, my birthday is coming up, so I know that all these gifts will also be for my birthday. So unless you have those good friends that are just like, here's also your birthday gift.
Yeah,
like, I'm dropping off a birthday gift for you. And I'm just
so
like,
thoughtful.
You're not hungover on my birthday. My birthday's on January 2nd, by the way. You're not unbelievably hungover. Like,
wow, thanks. The greatest gift anyone can ask for.
Thank you for thinking about me. Thank you for actually giving a fuck about me. That's like, it's like really cool.
So yeah, how was your 2020? What did you enjoy about last year? Because I know there was such a plethora of things that were just not enjoyable.
My favorite thing was getting laid off multiple times.
Fuck.
The pandemic.
Fuck.
And my favorite thing was the stimulus checks. I'm sorry. This needs to be. I need to be more serious.
No, mine is great. This is great. Keep it going. Fuck. Oh, shit. It's so real.
I mean, yeah, like there was good and bad. Like, I mean, the first half was not that bad because for me for 2020, like I had started a big girl job and was working for the city.
You say it like that.
I don't know. In my mind,
A
like
little shoulder too. Shoulder action. Big girl job.
big job
Mm.
working for the city. Yeah, but I don't know. It made like the best thing I think I realized, or well, something great I think that came out of 2020 was that a lot of people realized like they can find income in so many different places than like
Dude.
conventional jobs, which is amazing.
Yeah, like so many small businesses have started just from the impetus of the threat of starvation.
The threat of your landlord kicking you out on the streets.
The threat of impending doom outside if someone breathes in your face funny.
Jeez, I mean, yeah, like that's like a great thing that came out of 2020. I mean, everything else was kind of shit. Like, I feel like a lot of friendships kind of like withered out for me. Like, or like it kind of helped you realize who people really are when they're stuck at home. Like, I feel like when you're stuck at home, you just become more of the person that you are. Like,
I could see that.
And it kind of just sucks when you're stuck in a house with a bunch of people. And you're like, don't like them.
Oh no.
You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally get that. It's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, I have to see you every day now. Like, before it was a choice, now it's a government mandate.
Now that the government demands it, I hate you.
Too fucking true.
What was your favorite part of 2020?
My favorite part of 2020 was everyone stopped saying My Little PogChamp because that meme was born and died on the same day.
We don't say poggers anymore, so we're not allowed to say that. Guys,
not on any sort of like terms of service or anything. It's just morally we can't say that.
You if you say it, you're probably trash. So.
To be fair though, like it's become like such a, that's the weird thing about it. Like it's become such a thing on its own that it doesn't refer to the garbage excuse of a human being that spawned it.
Period.
It's like, hey, it belongs to the streets now, homie. I don't know what to tell you.
It belongs to the streets now. Oh my goodness. I mean, what are some good signs so far in 2021? I mean, and granted, it's only been a month. It's only January 30 that we're recording this, but I mean, has anything happened so far that you're like, wow, like this year must be so much better than last year?
I mean, at least like personally for my mental state, the weather has been huge. I mean, like, granted, we recently had like storms roll through the Bay Area, but like, I'm really fucking into that. Like, I don't know. I think I'm so different from like neurotypical folks in that I love the rain. Like, I love downcast, dreary weather.
I love when it rains.
And it took so long to get here. Like, why was December so weirdly sunny?
Yeah, December, and it was like we had those weeks where it was like hot.
Yeah.
It was so hot.
Like, bitch, how are you gonna tell me it's not August anymore? I know it's felt like August for the past 6 months, but like, it is time to stop.
Okay, but I think the weather. Okay, my thing is like I feel like the weathers are always off by a couple months now. like they don't stay within their like set months by normal instances.
Like, bitch, get back inside.
Like February is no longer winter. Like January, February is no longer considered winter. Like that's a whole different season, honey. Like there's just different seasons in between the actual seasons now. They're just like a mixture.
And I feel like since the like middle school through high school for me, so that's like fucking more than like, oh god, that was like more than 10 years ago now. But like I feel like the weather has gradually been shifting through the climate has gradually shifted through the seasons. Like it's been getting bumped and compressed and stretched out like in weird ways. And it's just like, it's so crazy because like now you have the free time to experience it. And it's like, oh, this shit is so not normal compared to other places in the world. Like I know, like, there's always that saying, just like, oh yeah, people in California have like such great weather or whatever. It's just like, where? Where? Los Angeles feels like the desert.
If you go to the beach in San Francisco, you literally freeze your ass off.
Yeah. You will get hypothermia.
They must be going to the beach every day and like, you know, that's actually a thing people think.
Wait,
people think
really?
Yeah, people think Californians like go to the beach every day.
Often.
Yeah, like, honey, I have not been to a beach in years.
Dude,
like,
yeah, same. Like, not all of us live in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, and like Santa Cruz is a good almost 2-hour drive from where I am. Like, it's you plan a trip to the beach. You don't just go to the beach.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is a day.
If I was living in Hawaii, maybe like
I know,
beach
right?
is everywhere. The beach is literally out everywhere.
You could throw a rock and hit the beach.
You turn around and you're like, oh, there's water. Turn around the other way. Oh, there's water again. Like, that's crazy.
I remember someone actually telling me, like, dude, Hawaii is so small, like, you could get around with just a scooter. Like, you don't need a car. And honestly, like, I fuck with that. You know, I totally see why people want to own your land. I don't condone it, but, like, I can see the rationale. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Anak Vintage. Anak Vintage is a small business based in California. Every season they have new designs and looks that utilizes the essence of yesterday to bring a fresh splash of flavor to your wardrobe today. Learn more about this wonderful company at anakvintage.com. Anak Vintage. They're not sponsoring us. We just wanted to promote them. Alright, so welcome back. We just had to take a short break, but on the topic of short breaks, why does it take so long for our episodes to come out?
Mental health. With everything that was going on with 2020, it took a lot of people who were dealing with mental health took a lot of stabs in the brain.
Yes.
A lot of stabs. Me and Reggie being two of those people.
Yeah.
I mean, 2020 is kind of just like getting by. Right now, it's like a transitional phase. So it's more so like we're trying to get back on a schedule. We plan to be on a schedule. Can't promise the schedule will pan out. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, y'all. But I mean, we're doing our best to make these episodes. I mean, we don't live very close to each other. It's kind of a drive if we were to hang out. So, you know, usually most of the time if we were to talk, it's just us getting away from our mental health problem.
Truthfully. And it sucks too because it's just like you. Okay, so like usually like you just have those friends that you kind of like message every now and again, and it's like it's short. Excuse, I'm recording.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. But yeah, like you. usually it's like you hit these folks up and then you have a little conversation and you continue on through your day kind of thing. We very much have that kind of relationship, but it's like usually those tangents go on for much longer, which is why we wanted to start this thing in the first place. It's just that I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've been on different schedules or like different cycles with our mental health problems, when usually like they kind of line up.
Yeah, I feel like a good majority of our friendship, like we're always, if we're low together. If we're high, we're high together. Like it's not very like, we're never like opposites. Like it's never like one of us helping the other and the other one helping the other. It's always like, I'm sad today. Yo, bro, me too. Like that's fucking crazy.
Let's fucking vibe right now, dude.
Like literally, like you feel sad and you're just like, hey, bro, like, are you sad today? Because I am sad today. Like, do you want to talk about being sad together? Like, is this a thing you want to do? So most of the time, like if we are having a conversation, it's because we're genuinely like trying to connect with each other versus us like recording this podcast right now. Like usually it's us just kind of like hashing out whatever is like going on with us at the moment. I mean, granted, if that's something you guys want to hear, us be sad and talk about our problems, that's fine with me. It's, you know, me and Reggie both deal with different like mental health problems. Like I mean on different scales. Sometimes mine being very serious.
Yeah. Like it's definitely a struggle, and it's like I never want to like have anything too, I guess, raw or fresh.
Yeah.
That like we can't, you know, that it hasn't been like processed yet, because like when it's still like when you're still in the thick of it and you're still like in the process of dealing with the thing, it can be hard to then like edit that and put it out to the world and be like, this is me right now. Like, you know, as much as we appreciate like seeing that in other people, I mean, I know I appreciate like seeing that in like content creators that I follow. It's very hard to be that open, especially when it's just like no one is going to be like immune from fucking like internet hate. Like that's just a thing that's gonna happen. And it's just like, you know, if we talk about stuff that we've already like kind of processed and, you know, have dealt with, then it's like it stings a little less, you know. Like
it's also like this podcast is more so for us to just have a really good time, you know, like for us to talk about things that we want to talk about. We've been friends for over a decade. Like we've had very interesting conversations, and we were just like, you know what, people might want to hear these conversations that we have, because like we used to talk until the birds were chirping outside. Like we would talk all night just about random shit, and eventually we were like, man, like we should be recording these conversations. It's also like just for us to have a recount on things that we want to listen to in the future, be like, you know, this is a conversation we had and this is really fucking funny. Like that's crazy. And even just the one episode we pushed out, like I watch it and I just start dying, like laughing at these stupid things that I
know.
Like we don't, it doesn't, I don't even remember half of the things I say in like every episode. I'm just like, wow, like that really came out of my mouth. That's so funny. Like, dude, I'm like, I'm gonna be a comedian or something.
Yeah, honestly, because it's just like as much as we want like other people to see this, I mean, obviously, like, you know, it's just as much for us as it is for you guys.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, I mean, if you guys ever just want us to talk about mental health, we can deep dive into that. I'm honestly fine with it.
Same here.
We've come to that point. I feel like, I mean, I don't know if I can speak on you, but I feel like I've come to that point where I really recognized like all my mental health problems, and I like kind of know what's going on now, versus like, you know, when I was in high school, I did not know what was going on with my body. I did not know what was going on with my brain. Like I didn't understand anything that was going on with me. And I mean, now I kind of, it's still bad, but you know, we know how we recognize it, we understand her, we
we're dealing
come
with it,
full
like we're
circle.
dealing with it.
Yeah, but that's kind of why it takes so long for us to record these episodes. We're both on like kind of different schedules. We're both on natural schedules and mental health schedules.
Yeah.
Two different things. So, you know, one of us might be feeling really up that day and they're like, hey, like, are we ready to record today? And the other one's like, no, like, not, like, I can't talk to people today. And it's a good friendship to have because we're like, yeah, no, like, I completely understand. Like, you don't have to talk to me today. I completely respect that. And that is how you know you are in a good friendship, people.
Yes.
That's how you know 100%.
You do not have to interact with someone every fucking day to maintain a good relationship. Like, you don't. You just don't. It's just like you don't owe anyone your time. And when someone is grateful enough to appreciate the time that they get, you know, like, hold on to those folks. Because they'll stick with you, man. They'll stick with you.
Be friends with people who genuinely give a fuck about you. This is what we learned.
Yes.
We spoke that shit in 2010? I don't remember the years. When did we say that? Yeah, that was in 2010. We were like, people who genuinely give a fuck about you. That is how you know. That is how you know. And there are so many signs about on whether they give a fuck about you or not. You can tell. Yeah. But maybe not everyone can tell. That's just me saying that. I'm Steve sharing out.
And if you need help figuring that out, let us know.
We're here.
We're here for you, and mostly ourselves, but also you.
Wow, we should open a like IMO the podcast email, and people can email us like, I'm dealing with some shit.
Yeah.
Not that we're great advice.
I mean, not that it's like professional advice or anything. Like, we're not. Neither of us are therapists. Like, our
not
only
that
experience.
I take my own advice, even if it's good advice.
Yeah, our only like major experience with like dealing with mental health is like our own issues, and at least like in my case, working with a lot of teenagers and young adults and stuff like that.
Definitely
through volunteering. So it's just like like it's not professional help. Like, and that's always like something that I would recommend, particularly if you're dealing with anything serious. But if you're really like tentative about it, or you just want someone to listen, or if you just have like maybe innocuous questions about shit that is starting to sprout up that you're just like, whoa, where the fuck is this coming from, kind of thing. We'll open it up. I'll go ahead and say it right now. Official IMO Media Group at gmail.com. You can send us your emails, send us your concerns and stuff like that, and we'd be more than happy to talk with you about it. And if you feel comfortable with sharing it with the world, we'll talk about it on the podcast and we'll hash it out.
Definitely. I feel like it's nice when, I feel like it's always nice when, like you were mentioning earlier, when people who have a standing on different platforms like YouTube, whether it be YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and they talk about their own mental health, and you can like recognize that when someone, like when I watch, like recently I had watched been watching Laura DIY videos, and like she completely fell off my radar. Like I stopped watching her a long time ago because just was not my cup of tea. But it's really crazy because now she talks about how she deals with anxiety, and that she was also like misdiagnosed with anxiety. So like it could have so they told her like it could have been like OCD, and that like she was actually on the wrong anxiety medications for so long. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy, because like I recognize that like in myself. So it's crazy when you recognize it in like someone that you like kind of look up to a little bit. So it's interesting to hear it from a different perspective, because like not everyone has their shit together. That's like like,
very, very rarely do people have their shit together.
Right, and she's like a goddamn billionaire. So like I wish I was a billionaire, bro. Like, not that it was some problem shit, like that's wild. Like,
it won't solve your problems. It'll get rid of a lot of them though.
You can find help with money for those problems. Like,
money is access, man. Money is access.
But yeah, I would love to talk about stuff like that. Talk about anything. I mean, really, this is what this is for. We just get to spew out our ideas, talk about whatever things we want to talk about at the moment. But moving on from that, Soul came out on Christmas.
It's so good, man.
Something you guys should know. Reggie are like big Disney heads, as most people are, but like we were part of the few that had fucking annual passes, and we would go on a monthly basis.
Dude, like
damn near, like
it got so to a point. It got to a point that going to Disneyland, I did not ride rides anymore. Like I was just there to just fucking hang and vibe and enjoy the scenery and the smells. It's just like, like, you've been to a place arguably too much when it's just like all the main attractions and shit, like all the things that glitter and other people. Like it doesn't, like it's just part of the fucking furniture now.
Now you just walk around, you're like, do you know that they use that shade of green to disguise trash cans and dirt? Like, do you know they actually pump vanilla scent all over the park so you don't smell trash? Like, so you don't smell me because I'm trash.
So you don't smell sweaty tourists walking around.
Exactly. But yeah, no. Go for a long time. I mean, like, this is just let me break it down for you. Me and Reggie do not live remotely close to Disneyland. Oh, let me just say this first. I mean, granted, you did live down there for a little bit, so you had a little bit of leeway, but honey, we's from the Bay Area. Like, we are so far from Disneyland. That is a 6-hour drive, ma'am. Like, that is so far.
That is a drive, a meal, and then another drive.
Yeah, and you have to go through the whole process of, like, getting a hotel over there, finding somewhere to stay, like, eating over there, like, figuring out how you're gonna get around if you don't drive there. Like, if you fly there, like, how are you gonna get around? You're gonna rent a car? What are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a whole mission. But here we were going there monthly. That was crazy.
That's just how it be.
Yeah, sometimes. Soul came out, and I feel like it was. How do I put this? It was really interesting to change kind of everyone's perspective being in the pandemic. Like from like what people. I mean, like before I had even watched it, like how people were like, wow, like this is a great end, like a movie to kind of put a different outlook on 2020. But the tea here is that I didn't really like the movie and Reggie loved the movie. So
let's talk about, okay, so yeah, I really love the movie. I'm not alone in my camp. I'm pretty sure. But I'm really curious as to why you didn't like, fuck!
Oh my God.
I'm really curious as to why you feel the way you feel about it, because I enjoyed it so thoroughly, but I want to know your thoughts, because like we legit like held off talking about this until we could get a chance to record it.
Until we could get on this podcast and talk about it. So okay, it's not like I hated the movie. I didn't hate the movie.
Yeah, of course not.
I just think that like some of the like there was other movies that were like better that they've come out with, and I get like the time they did release it at a very good time. It did change like outlooks and stuff, and I think that was great. The movie in itself though was just kind of like bleh to me. Like, I don't know, because I've been watching a lot of videos too. Like, I'm the kind of bitch that like after I watch a movie, what did the meaning at the end of the movie on YouTube, like what did the ending mean?
Yeah.
And like every time Pixar comes out with a movie, how does this fit into like the Pixar universe? Like, what does this mean? Like every time, like I just fall into that.
It doesn't have to connect.
I need it to. It connects in my heart.
Oh jeez.
But I don't know, like for me, like see, I'm also the kind of person where I'm like, a movie needs to make me cry for it to be like, oh, that was a really good movie. And I was so close. I was real close to like wanting to cry, but I didn't. And I was like, And then when I didn't cry, I was like, no.
Pity. Like,
Don't do it for me.
Dr. Point right there.
Yeah, I was like, I teared up a little bit,
A
but
little bit.
no tears were shed.
Mhm.
They weren't shed. They was just in the eye, and then my eye just absorbed them back into my body.
Just sucked it back in. Just
Like,
not today.
I just think like the ending was interesting. Like 22 as a character was like a
Okay.
really interesting character.
Spoilers. If you haven't seen Soul, you should probably watch Soul
First.
Yeah, first. If you don't want to do that and you want to skip forward, there's a timestamp right here. Yes. Skip to that. If you're an audio only listener, I will probably try to edit in a voice tag right here. 57 minutes, 24 seconds. And yeah, so go on it. We'll work our way backwards. All right. So the ending, right?
Yeah. So the ending, I feel like there's just like a lot of, I mean, Pixar movies are like that, but I feel like it was like not tied up well enough for me.
Really?
Like, yeah, I just don't think like I was satisfied with the end. Like, yeah, I think it was cool. I was like, oh, like she got to go to Earth. She found her spark, which is her her will to live. That's like basically It wasn't like the one thing that you're meant to do on this earth. It was like, oh, like the joy of life. That's what the spark is, like being alive, like enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this whole storyline was like really cool, but I don't know. To me, I was like, Joe's kind of an annoying character. He's a little annoying. I enjoyed 22. She was really sarcastic, kind of asshole. Love her.
I knew you'd like her. I knew you'd like her.
Oh, I love the shaman people, like the people who go like on the ship, like
dude,
they fucking like astral project, like that shit was cool. Like, bro.
Yo, and also representation because we had a boy
one
who
of the
was on a
guys was
trip
fucking
from Palawan.
Yes.
Fucking
I was
go.
like, yo, when they said that, I was like, babe, that's the Philippines. He's from Palawan. You hear that? Palawan, bro. Like, what the fuck?
So at the end, Joe gets a second chance at life.
Yeah.
But he and 22 never meet when they're back on Earth, or at least like not that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just kind of ends with like, oh, we think that you deserve a second go at it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I personally really like that because it was just one of those things where it's just like, once you come to the realization that your purpose in life isn't necessarily your motivation to keep living, it's a whole different lease that you have, because then it's just like, okay, like I don't have to be driven by, you know, what it is I'm good at kind of thing, or it's like it's not necessarily like my worth is tied to whatever it is that I'm passionate about, because passion is such a fickle thing in the first place.
Yeah.
But just recognizing that the most integral part of passion is wanting to be alive, is finding that joy of living, like, and that being symbolic in like, now you have a second chance. So it's just like, now like the rest of your life begins now, because throughout the rest of the movie, like, we're shown how obsessed he is with his goal. And it's just like I thought it was great in that regard, just because it was just like, yeah, you know, like some people need to be told that it's just like, you are more than what it is you're interested in. You're more than what it is that you're passionate about. There's so much more to you than that, and there's so much more to life than just trying to live that. Because, you know, like, shit falls apart sometimes.
I think Joe is like such a one-track mind kind of character, which is why I think I didn't like him.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Like, all he did, like, I feel like he, like, at the start, like, his motives are just so selfish. Like, he just wanted to, like he met this life, like that everyone was like, she needs to like go out and like live her life and become a person and blah 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 blah. And he's like, I need to play this jazz jazz concert. Like, fuck your life. Like, fuck your life, bitch. I need to go and live my life. Like, he was like, I need to live my life. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I'm already living my life. I'm like, bro, you died. You were like so one track minded.
You died. Let it go.
Fucking died. Exactly. Like, you fucking died, bro. Let it go. Like, she needs to live her life now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I don't hate the movie. It's just like there's just like aspects of it that I feel like could have been a little bit better. Like, I don't know. I think that some parts of it were kind of weird.
Like what?
Like, you know how when they're in that like one space where she becomes like all like full of herself, or like they like become those monsters.
Yeah.
I feel like it was so interesting how, like, I don't know. I feel like in my mind things didn't add up because like they would have those bubbles of people like stuck in their own mind, or like especially when they're like in that point where they're like in the zone that they like go into that place, and then she can like fuck them up. And then there's also the people like that are like stuck in their mind. So I'm just like, do they constantly stay stuck there, or do people have to get them out and like help them? Is that what those astral projector dudes are for? Like, they help people get out of it, but there's so many of them, and that's so many people, and there's so many people. Like, you know do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like a lot of stuff like did not add up personally to me. I mean, the movie itself, it was a good movie. Like, don't get me wrong, but like just some stuff like I feel like in my mind could have been done a little bit better. Also, they made dying seem so scary. I was like, why did it have to be this is a children's movie, sir? Yeah. Like, why did they make that fucking void look so fucking scary, bro?
Yeah.
And like the thing is too is that when Joe died, he was just on that fucking conveyor belt going straight into like the light,
the afterlife.
Like, yeah, and like no one was there to like explain to him. Like, he was just like, what the fuck is that?
That's just it.
Like,
that's just it, I guess. Like,
yeah, I was like, oh. I mean, granted, we have, I mean, on our own time, talked about, like, our views about what happens in the afterlife and, like, how things work. It's like, you know.
Something we'll get into later.
Yeah, at another time, but.
That's another episode
like,
entirely.
I think that's also, like, why I'm so skeptical about it. Like, I'm just, like, so, like, curious about like what the afterlife is, so like their portrayal of it is kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me, which is why I think the movie is like so and so for me. I mean, I enjoyed it, like I would watch it again, but like I think it's just there's parts of it I'm just like,
see, that's really interesting to me because I thought that you would enjoy it because it was so ambiguous.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a changed bitch. I love having answers now. I need it. Say it with whole chest. Say it with your whole chest, bro. You gotta say it with your full chest. I need to know.
So going back to the scene where they're going through the in-between space, and there's like the folks in, like the folks that are trapped there and have become monsters or whatever.
Yeah.
I took that as like where obsession kind of leads to dissociation. Because like so like when you're in the zone or whatever, as they explain it, kind of thing, like there is a sort of feeling of being in a different plane, but you're there sort of by choice, like of your own volition, kind of thing. And then when you constantly try to chase that, it can bring about like it's not necessarily something that you choose to do, it's something that happens to you, which made me think about like the concept of dissociation and how like outside of, you know, having a medical condition or having a mental condition that, you know, forces you into that state, where it's like with people who are so obsessed with any particular thing, like, you know, taking for example the dude that they used in the film, you know, like he was so obsessed with his goals or whatever, or just not necessarily with his goals, but just the objective.
Yeah.
Like he stopped living life, and they were saying how, you know, like they get trapped there, and what's the opposite of a spark? It's darkness. and they're covered in darkness. It's kind of like they were exploring the idea of burnout, where, you know, like pursuing something to that degree of obsession isn't healthy. And so when you burn out, you lose, like, literally when you burn out, you lose your spark, because, you know, you're burnt out, like you're running on empty. And that's when they get overtaken by the darkness or whatever, the sand, where it's just like you know, like you get covered in this, like, and it's a description that I've heard, a descriptor that I've heard for depression as well, where it's just like, you know, like you feel like there's a weight on you, like you know that, you know, something is just bearing down on you, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is, and it prevents you from being able to experience life. So in that way, it's like, you know, it's your obsession with this thing that you are pursuing is ironically like holding you back from enjoying that thing. So that was like one of the concepts that I really fucking liked from the film, because it's just like, you know, like I don't think that there's been a Pixar movie that really addresses that in such a straightforward way, at least like to me.
Okay, well, okay, that kind of changes because I didn't like view it in that kind of aspect, so I get what you're saying. Me at the end of this, like, maybe it is a good movie. Maybe I do like this movie.
Maybe I do enjoy it. Yeah, no, like, because I remember I was watching it with a bunch of folks, and I remember one of them was like, at the end of the movie, they were just like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
like,
that was kind of me.
Don't live with mental health issues.
Me living with mental health issues, but just
and
not
still
getting
not
it. Maybe
getting
I'm
it.
Stupid. I'm just dumb. Just a dumb bitch over here. I don't know. I feel like okay, one movie that I feel like in my mind I kind of compared it to was Inside Out.
Okay.
Like, I feel like Inside Out kind of hit it for me. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, these different aspects of your mind, and then like showing how her emotions kind of, they like like when they would take control of her, especially like when sadness took control of her, and no one could really control sadness, you know, like she was kind of like just touching shit, and then the fucking, like, she would just be like, I'm so fucking sad, like I'm so depressed, bro, because like sadness is over here fucking shit up, and happiness had to be like, okay, well, like, let me go, I need to figure out like what to do for her, like how can I help her. But I feel like that was kind of just on another like plane like of existence, like how they like went about that movie, which I think was like more so interesting to me. But I do see what you're trying to say with Soul, like how they kind of addressed different aspects of the mind and kind of life in general, which is, it was cool. And it did, I feel like that movie was such like a light for people, especially a lot of Disney fans that were like sad because, you know, a lot of the everything closed, like they couldn't go and enjoy Disney, and Disney like was just like, oh, here's a fucking movie, bitch, like
here's a fucking movie,
go live your life, like enjoy your shit, like
but
yeah, I don't know, I think it's more so like, I think for me, like I love like the whole thing with jazz music, like that was really cool, like how like that was a part, that's why I was like initially really excited for the movie, because I was like, wow, like he's a jazz musician, and when he like started going to his space, I was like, oh, this is sick. And then that part where he did like, he put like the little things and he like started playing music to like find her and like astral project when he was like in the fucking thing.
I thought that was so smart.
Sick. That was sick. I was like, oh, like what the fuck. But I don't know, like I think it's just different parts of the movie. Like there's parts that I really enjoyed, like the part where 22 was in Joe's body getting a haircut. Like that part was so funny to me, dude.
It was so good too, because it's just like,
and he like realized
like this old soul, like literally this old soul would know all of this inherently, kind of thing. And I mean, like,
you know what I think?
What?
I don't like Joe because he's kind of a boomer.
He is literally a boomer.
the boomer. That's why I don't like him. That's probably why I didn't like overall. Like I was like, like I
can
like
see
Joe.
that.
Like that's probably the only reason why I was like I'm really just like not really sold on the whole movie. I mean, yeah, like I love different aspects of me. Like that part was sick. Like the other parts, astral projection part was sick. Like because I've like talked to people who practice meditation, and they're like, yeah, like it's crazy when you enter that state of like meditation and you like feel like your whole body's like lit up. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like that's so cool. But then like I don't know, just couldn't get over the whole boomer Joe.
Because I like the fact that they went with the boomer though, because of the idea that it's just like very like we think of boomers now as like very self-absorbed, you know, kind of thing, like very much about their own deal.
Literally Joe. Literally my grandpa.
Yeah. It's just like I feel like a lot of folks, at least in our generation, so like millennials and a little bit younger, like Zoomers and stuff like that, like we're very much in this space of like dealing with, okay, like there's all this stuff that you could be interested in that you can pursue or whatever, but like it's not as possible as we were led to believe. And Joe is like coming from a place of believing that it is still very much possible, to the point that he is, you know, obsessed with it. I mean, like he lived all of his life just waiting for his shot to be a professional musician, and once he was finally there, kind of thing, like he wasn't happy. And I feel like a lot of people are in that space of just like, all right, now I've done the thing, so now what? I thought it was so clever, because it's just like, you know, at least for us, like that's how we view like a lot of the older generation, where it's just like still very much like obsessed with these, you know, like not a lot of people are going out of the way to go to jazz clubs, you know, like it's not the most financially like successful thing that you can do for yourself, like being a professional musician. Even if you do find a gig at like a company doing like game scoring or film scoring, like they get fucked over in their own ways. But it's just like music as a profession is not that lucrative, so it's not for that. Like it's for something else, and it's just like you're in it for the passion. And so once you fulfill that, once you're able to satisfy that desire in your life of saying like, yes, I am a professional artist, now what, kind of thing. Like I like that a lot.
What do I do?
Yeah, like now what do I do? And it's just like the fact that he was able I'm so sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, you're fine. Keep going.
The fact that he was able to get into the zone like on purpose just kind of like was so emblematic of that for me, was because of the fact that it's just like, okay, here's a dude that is practiced, like he has what it takes, and we know that he has what it takes because he reached his goal before the end of the movie. But he lost touch with his spark until he saw all the stuff that made 22 feel like she was alive. And that was like,
and he was like recounting those memories too, because like she was in his body.
Yeah.
I think oh my gosh, what like made me so upset when he played the night, when he actually went and had like he did the thing.
Yeah.
And then like his like mom was so proud of him, and like he was so happy. He like walked out. He was just like, "What now?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what now? Like, I was like, what does that mean? Like, bro, you." And then she was like, "We come back tomorrow. No, we do it all again." I'm like, "What did you?" In my mind, I was like, "What did you expect? Like, what did you think was gonna happen, bro?" Like, obviously, like if you enjoy doing it, because I don't know. For me, it was like, man, if I could be doing the one thing that I would want to be doing every day. Like, imagine, like, for him, like, playing jazz clubs every night, getting paid to do that shit, like, every night, and, like, feeling that shit every night, like, fucking going into piano and, like, doing his thing. Like, the fact that it like hurt me because I was like, you would achieve this goal. Maybe it's just the Asian mentality is like ingrained in me, but I was like, bro, you achieved your goal and you're like, now what? I'm like, are you not happy with like what you did just achieved? Like how many people like kill for that shit and you just like went here and were like, okay, now what do we do? Like, no, like bro, you get to live your dream. Like you get to do what you love every day. But then like I get it. He's like, there's more to life than just living your goal. Like he wants to go and like inspire others, you know? But I'm like, you can do all of that and what you love at the same time. Which is why I think boomers don't understand. Like, you can do what you love and like still live your life. Like and like have a happy life. Which I guess they're like meaning to the movie, but yeah. I don't know. It was okay. I gave the movie a solid like 7.5 out of 10. But that's just me.
For sure. That's fair. I gave it a good like 8.5 to a 9. It was really good to me. I don't know. Because it's just like I think that the feeling of now what is just something that isn't talked about enough. It's like as much as, you know, we would love to say like, yeah, like I would definitely like appreciate that shit. And it's just like you can't really say that you would understand in its totality until you're there. And it's just like I've seen so many. I've seen, at the very least, like with YouTubers or whatever. Like I've seen so many content creators that are just like that have like millions of followers, that have like, you know, brand deals and sponsorships and shit like that, and they're able to do this thing of like content creation, and which is something that they enjoy, but they still burn out. And it's like, how can something you love
that video?
Yeah, like how can something you love bring you so much pain, kind of thing. And I think like
they
that
post
whole
that video where they're like, oh, taking a break from YouTube, gonna be gone for a while because of mental health, because of this and that. And I'm like, I feel like that's when it becomes a thing where what you love becomes like something you feel like you have to do. And I feel like for me, like on another like kind of a similar situation, like, you know, growing up I was an arts and craft hoe. Like I loved doing art. But then as soon as you put me in an art class and they tell me what I need to do, they're like, you must draw this specific, like, oh, I don't like this anymore. Like I'm not enjoying this. It's not fun for me. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and I feel like that's when, like for YouTubers, it's like they start doing it because they want to do it, like they like it, and then next thing you know, they have to do it, and then they don't like it anymore. It becomes a wanting to do it and having to do it. I think changes the whole aspect.
I could see that. Yeah, but because then the thing that I appreciate about that, and the thing that like I guess my own like kind of counter to that, like to that experience and to that mindset is just like the idea of getting to do it, kind of thing. Versus like I think that in order to pursue those things in a healthy way in your own life is just like finding little things to be grateful for within the process of doing it. Because I think that as a society, like we get so obsessed with end goals. And I think a lot of people are waking up to the idea of just love the process, you know, just fall in love with the process, because like the process will be there for you. Like the end like you're not always going to be happy with every project you put out. Like you're not always going to be happy with every job that you're part of. You know, you're not, you know, there's so many things that you're not going to be happy with that you could aim for. And I think that's the issue that a lot of folks run into, is that they just aim for things that they don't know will make them happy. They just make themselves think that it will. As opposed to just like I'm enjoying like the process of making this thing, or I'm enjoying the process of doing this thing, kind of thing. Like it's a lot more solid in my head, at least.
Me when I make something and I need it to be perfect the first time that I do it, because I'm like, this will not be okay if it doesn't come out right the first time I do it.
Dude, that's why I get anxious if I'm making pancakes and I make like the first one is like really fucking good. I feel so much like unnecessary pressure from
Made mochi waffles last night, and I don't know what was going on with my thing, but like I would pull up the waffle maker thing, and it would be half.
No.
The waffle was half. The bottom was like this, and the other was like this, and I was like, not okay right now. Internally screams as I get the waffle out of the thing. Internally just crying. Because like the first batch I made in the morning was so good, and they like all like came together, and then I used a different rice flour, and then it didn't want to do the thing, and I was like, wow, I hate this.
Because in that regard, like you're expecting them to come out great, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I expect it to come out the first time. It's like making cookies, bro. Like they're not gonna come out the same every single time you make them.
Yeah.
There's so many different aspects, but like the anxiety in me needs to be perfect the first time.
It's just like if only you could just like making it more than you like the thing that you made. Because then if you don't like the thing that you made, then it like completely devalues the process of making it. It's just like baking isn't fun anymore, because there was one time I burnt cookies and they were disgusting.
Oh my god. Yeah. I always stop myself because like, you remember how I told you like I always wanted to make YouTube videos, but then like, and now I'm just like the process of having to film myself, then edit videos of myself, and then upload it onto YouTube. The whole process just takes so long, and I just don't want to do that.
I don't want to do it.
Even people are like, they're like, just make TikToks, and I'm like, they're shorter. I'm like, but they still require work. So anyway, should we move on to our next segment?
Yeah, moving on to our next segment. So one of the things that we mutually love, unequivocally, unlike fucking unlike Soul, one of the things that we love mutually is the Reddit subreddit. Am I the asshole? For those who don't know, this is an entire subreddit where folks just post up stories, real or not. There's so many accusations of just like that actually happened, but no, it's just this place where you can share stories, and the audience is invited to kind of critique who is the asshole in the story, whether it's the person telling it, or the person in, or the other person in the situation, or people in the situation, or if everybody's the asshole, or if no one's the asshole, you know, something. But
and I think we specifically both really enjoy it, just because usually me and you are both the asshole in the situation.
I enjoy being the asshole sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are kind of confrontational people, and we're just like, tell it how it is, and we end up becoming the asshole.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's like, it happens. So, reading about other people's inconveniences, we love.
When you put it that way, it sounds so sinister.
Well, we live our day-to-day inconveniences, so.
That's true. That is true.
It's nice to get away from your own inconveniences and read about other people's inconveniences. But yeah, so we will probably be reading these, or like reading one or two every episode, just so we can talk about it, because they're funny and I think you guys would enjoy them.
So this Reddit post comes from TA Sister's Wedding. Posted 4 months ago, and it was given an award. But it says, my sister Anne, a 29-year-old female, has been best friends with Ruby, a 30-year-old female, for as long as I, a 25-year-old female, can remember. So growing up, Ruby was like a second big sister to me. One thing that is important to note is that Ruby has always had the most outrageous fashion sense possible. She's the person that would wear those runway outfits that you think no one would actually wear. Anne got engaged pre-COVID. Almost as soon as it happened, she started being really weird to Ruby. When she made me maid of honor, I was kind of surprised because they've always sworn to be the maid of honor at each other's weddings, but I'm her blood sister, so it wasn't that weird. But I was completely blown away when she made a group chat and I found out that Ruby wasn't even a bridesmaid. Both me and my mom tried to talk to her about it, and since we figured they had an argument or something, but she would only say that Ruby didn't care anyways. I know that Ruby was hurt, but she didn't want any drama, so I agreed to let it go. Throughout the whole wedding process, my mom kept asking Anne if she would invite Ruby, if she would ask Ruby's opinion, etc., but Anne refused to have any contact with her or talk about anything wedding related with her whatsoever. On Saturday, my sister was married. She had a beautiful outside socially distanced wedding, but she was seething the whole time because of Ruby's dress. It wasn't at all outrageous by Ruby's standards, so I don't believe that she wanted to outshine my sister. She wore quite a simple wedding dress, but that was her choice. As maid of honor, I of course went to her fitting, and that was literally the one she chose. Anne has been cursing Ruby out and saying that their friendship is over ever since, like she hadn't been ignoring her all through lockdown. Finally, I just said that she's been friends with Ruby most of her life, and she knows what she dresses like, and that she should have expected this. If it was that much of a problem, she should have just found a way to mention it to her, or just made her a bridesmaid. Anne lost it with me. She sent Ruby some really horrible messages after she screamed at me. She didn't say a word to me all of yesterday, but she's bad-mouthing me to our dad, who is on her side. My mom has told Anne that she should apologize to Ruby for the nasty messages she sent and for yelling at me, so Anne isn't talking to her either. I don't even know what's going on, but Ruby swears on her life that they didn't have an argument or anything pre-COVID. Anne says that that's none of my business and I should be supporting my real sister. My dad agrees with her and she's rallied the other bridesmaids against me. I don't know. Am I the asshole? And just to clear things up, Ruby didn't wear a wedding dress or anything really outrageous. It was a dark red bodycon dress in a satin material. There were lots of people in form-fitting dresses. The bridesmaids were wearing them. And she didn't look out of place. And edit, again, some of you people are ridiculous, Lamau, assuming the absolute worst case scenario. It wasn't a spaghetti strap dress that just barely covered her butt. It was an appropriate length and had long sleeves. Number 2, if this needs saying twice, the bridesmaids were wearing bodycon dresses, so were many other guests. It wasn't a particularly traditional affair. Nobody was offended by her figures. Ruby's dress didn't massively stick out. Number 3, Ruby is very attractive. She always has been, but I never thought it was an issue for Anne before. Number 4, Ruby and Anne had been best friends for 25 years. They didn't grow apart or anything. They stayed in constant contact, even as adults. And then Anne suddenly wasn't talking to Ruby anymore. My mom and I weren't trying to be controlling. We were worried. We assumed that something really bad happened for them to cut contact overnight. When Anne refused to talk about it, my mom was only more worried because she's normally an open book. Number 5, I don't love Ruby more than Anne or anything like that. The only reason I'm so close to Ruby is because Anne used to be so close to Ruby. They were basically inseparable, so I grew up tagging after both of them. Of course, I love Anne very much. I just think she's being unreasonable in this situation. Number 6, Ruby was always going to be at the actual wedding. The phrasing was bad on my part, sorry. When my mom was suggesting that Anne invite Ruby, it was to wedding prep things like dress shopping and etc. And number 7, I don't know if the groom, Dave, has feelings for Ruby. I have never thought that. They've met many times and there's never been any signs that he does. I definitely do not think it is an affair because then surely my sister wouldn't want to marry Dave and neither would want Ruby at the wedding at all. Ruby doesn't have a history of going after Anne's boyfriends or crushes. So let's talk about this because there's a bunch of updates and I think this was actually awarded because of the updates. Let's just talk about the situation beforehand.
Okay, I think I kind of relate to this in a way, in a sense, because I feel like I am Ruby. Like,
okay,
because you know me, I wear interesting outfits all the time.
Yeah.
I've been told throughout my life to tone it down. My mom literally told me to stop being a social butterfly and to fit in because people were putting targets on my back.
Mm-hmm.
So like I kind of get it. It's I don't know, cuz I mean, I'm reading it again, but did she like actually say like, did you really expect like Ruby was gonna outshine you at your wedding regardless to Anne? Like she was basically like, she was like gonna outshine you anyway. Did she ever actually say that?
I don't think she did, but it was implied.
Like
Because there was like I think in the argument that she had with her sister, she was basically saying like, yeah, yeah, of course Ruby's gonna dress like that. It's Ruby. And
like what do you expect?
Yeah, what do you expect? And when when Anne had known full and well that she was going to wear a pretty simple wedding dress that wasn't like flashy or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't think she's the asshole for telling her because like they already know how Ruby is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you already know how this person is, and she kept her out of the loop, out of everything. So I mean, granted, like it's her wedding, and if that's her best friend, like if that like if I was Anne and I was having like a wedding and I knew like Ruby dresses the way that she dresses, I would have kept her in the loop and been like, hey, like can I see what you're planning on wearing to the wedding? You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like within girls, like girls always talk about like every time I'm gonna go to a party, I'm gonna go to an event or something, I always ask my friends like, what are you guys gonna wear to the thing? Like, let's all like I want to see so we can all be on the same kind of page when we're all getting dressed, So with this, it's kind of weird to me why she kept her out of the loop and was pissed when she wasn't like when she did when she did exactly what she normally does. Yeah. Like you were surprised by the normal thing that Ruby does on a daily basis. Like that makes no sense. I don't know, because like I've had friends who have been pressed by me in multiple occasions by the way that I am dressed. So I get it. Like Ruby just being Ruby. Like what the fuck did you expect? Like you didn't tell her shit, so how is she gonna know anything? Yeah. But yeah, it just seems like this Anne person just has a lot of insecurities. And I'm like, if you chose a simple wedding dress, like and you're having a wedding, obviously people are gonna wear nice dresses. So don't be I mean, it's your day. Why should anyone else even matter at that point? Yeah. As well.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing to me is just like you didn't talk to her. Yeah, like you don't get a right. Loop. You don't have the right to complain when you had every opportunity to avoid the issue entirely.
And if she didn't want her to wear something crazy, she could have made her a bridesmaid so she would wear the same dress as the other bridesmaids, and none of this would have happened in general. Exactly. So make it make sense, girl. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
I think Anne is the asshole.
Yeah.
Should I read the update?
Oh yeah, go for it.
So the update is, based on some of the advice I'm receiving, I was going to tell Anne this morning how much she means for me and that I'm there for her, but she's seething again, so I'm not trying to. Dave asked me if I could talk to Anne because they've also apparently had a massive fight because he tried to defend Ruby on the wedding night, and he asked me if I could explain where he misstepped and how to make it up to her. This is the first time he's ever asked me for help with their relationship, so he's clearly at a loss. I said I was just as confused and we didn't even know why she wasn't in the bridal party, so he should just try to talk it out with Anne. This is when it gets weird. Dave said that the reason Ruby wasn't in either wedding party was because he wanted her as the best woman, and Anne wanted her as a maid of honor. Oh, actually, that clears up a lot. Wow. But Anne wouldn't budge and said that they should just drop her from both parties to be fair. He said that she explained it to Ruby, and that's why they had a fight, because Ruby wanted to be included. I said okay and just hung up, but the more I think about it, the more confused I am. If they had a massive fight about Ruby being maid of honor, surely Ruby would remember. Also, I don't know why Dave would want Ruby as his best woman when, to my understanding, he only met her after he started dating Anne. I really am taking your advice not to meddle to heart, which is a nightmare because my curiosity is totally piqued, so I won't bring it up. It's possible that this is all I'll ever know and this will bug me to my grave, but I have made a vow to not push Anne on it anymore. Thank you everyone for your comments. Thank you all the NTA people for reassuring me that I'm not the one acting crazy. Thank you to all the helpful YTA/ESH verdicts that helped me see how I could change my behavior in the future to be a more supportive sister. And then after that, there is actually a second update. Wow, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, like why
does he want her as the best woman?
That's so odd, because I know like it was already mentioned that there wasn't any sort of like infidelity going on.
Yeah, but now that makes it more sus. Like it just kind of sounds sus. But the fact that like she said that like Dave is now asking her for her help, but she like usually never does with their problems or whatever. So he must like really be at an all-time low in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of weird. But the fact that he wants her as his best woman makes no sense.
Yeah. But like also like outside of that, like that they excluded her, like that was your solution? That was your solution. Like how badly did this man want her to be best woman that you could not come to a compromise and just said, fuck it, she's not coming, or like she's not part of it anymore. Like what?
That's crazy.
I don't understand the thought process of it.
Let's see. It says, if they had a massive fight about Ruby being maid of honor, surely Ruby would remember.
And I'm assuming like she already asked Ruby.
So did they both ask Ruby and they're just both like, hey, like who you want to, which party you want to be on, bro? Like,
yeah.
What? But like that's
that would
her
be
best
fucked up to Ruby.
But that's her best friend, so why would it even matter? Like, if it was like, why didn't they give Ruby a choice? Like,
yeah.
If they had given Ruby a choice, then like she probably would have been like, well, yeah, I'm gonna be my best friend's maid of honor. Like, I'm not gonna be the best woman.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this guy don't got better guy friends for a best man.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like, also red flag.
Who is this man that does not have friends? Like, even I got at least one dude.
That situation's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, update number 2. It reads, I'm even more confused. Dave called me up about 30 minutes ago asking me, in a very angry tone of voice, if any of his groomsmen behaved inappropriately towards me. I asked what, and he asked again. I could hear Anne in the background shouting something. I said that they had been perfect gentlemen at the wedding and that I hadn't had any contact with them since. He then asked me if Ruby knew that she was meant to be best woman. I said not to my understanding, but it was possible that I don't know, as both she and Anne had been quite secretive about what happened between them and that he'd be better off asking them themselves. He laughed and hung up. Ruby has texted me asking me what's happening and if I knew about the best woman bride of honor thing. Just now I got a message from one of the bridesmaids saying that if Dave calls me, I shouldn't answer him. Anne is on the phone to my dad, screaming, it sounds like. I have no clue what's going on, but I think somewhere in this mess is the truth of what actually happened. Everything seems to be exploding. I now think that the bridesmaids, or at least that particular one, are involved. And if things keep happening at this pace, I think I should eventually find out what in the flying fuck is happening.
I think we should keep reading. Should I read the third one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, update 3. There has been a lot of shouting and tears today. Honestly, I'm exhausted, but so many people have commented for the update, so here it is. I'm still kind of in shock. Anne has just been lying. Oh, Anne has been lying to just about everyone. The story is very complicated and long. This list is actually what I use to wrap my own head around it. It's all the facts I have in chronological order. This what?
Holy
Okay.
shit. Holy
One.
shit. I glanced at that first one.
I know. Okay, anyway. 1, Dave has been to jail and is an ex-drug addict. He met Ruby before he met Anne. After he recovered, he was really struggling with money and Ruby helped him out a lot. He considers her to be one of his closest friends. So that
makes sense. Makes sense.
That question. 2 years later, Dave was doing well at his job and much more stable and functional. Around this time, Ruby introduced him to Anne. So it wasn't the other way around. Ruby introduced him to Anne. The third one is Anne is very reluctant to have a relationship with Dave because of his past, but she has very strong feelings for him. Eventually, they began dating, and she was still ashamed of the person he used to be. So she told us that they met over a dating app. Dave consented to this at the time, of telling her family how they met. And then 4, as Dave became more comfortable with himself and the relationship, they became more serious. He told Anne that she needed to be honest with us about his history. She agreed to tell us, but she didn't. She told Dave that she had wrote a fake letter from my family about how we were really grateful for his honesty and accepted him. She told Ruby that my parents had reacted really badly, so Ruby never brought it up with Dave or my family because she thought it was a very sensitive topic. 5, when Dave... This is a lot of shit. Let's get it loose. 5, when Dave proposed, Anne started freaking out about the wedding. Dave wanted people from his support group to be there, Ruby as his best woman, etc., which would expose the lies. But she still didn't want to tell us who Dave was or Dave that she had lied to him. So she decided to continue lying instead of coming clean. So, number 6. So, what Anne did is she pretended to be really upset that she couldn't have Ruby as her maid of honor, so she could make the argument that she should be dropped from both wedding parties. She told Dave that she had explained their decision to Ruby and that Ruby had taken the issue with it to keep him happy. In reality, she knew that if Ruby knew she was meant to be best woman, it could easily get back to me and my mom and then raise questions from us about Ruby's relationship with Dave. So she didn't tell Ruby anything at all, and that's why Ruby was so confused about what happened and couldn't think of anything. And told Dave and all of his friends from his support group that they shouldn't mention the addiction in speeches or even casual conversation because it was a sensitive subject for certain family members before the wedding. She told the bridesmaids so many lies about Ruby. She told them that she had a habit of causing scenes, that she was going to try to sleep with the groomsmen, that one of them was an ex-boyfriend of hers, that dumped her, and that she would get way too drunk. Essentially, she painted Ruby as a disaster waiting to happen so the bridesmaids wouldn't like her and so that they could keep her away from certain people, specifically the ones that also knew Dave at the wedding. And also told the bridesmaids that the only reason Ruby was invited is because I idolized her so that they wouldn't repeat any of the lies she told me. 7, after the wedding, Anne put on her enormous meltdown about the dress. The bridesmaids obviously didn't have a very positive opinion on Ruby, so they're easy to convince that it was meant as a genuine slight. My dad did what Anne apparently expected everyone to do by caving immediately because she was the bride. If me and my mom had done the same, Anne would basically have used it as an excuse to cut out Ruby out of everyone's lives. She tried to do the same thing with Dave's groomsmen by insisting to him that they said inappropriate things about the bridesmaids, which is probably why he had called asking if any of the groomsmen did anything.
Yeah.
The idea was to basically remove remove anybody that knew the truth about Dave from general social circles so it wouldn't come up again. Dave smelt a rat. He asked what exactly the issue was with Ruby's dress and what exactly his friends had said, and panicked and accused him of not loving her, choosing his friends over her, etc., and it turning into a massive argument. Dave was mad and very suspicious, so he started calling people up, trying to figure out what happened. A couple of the bridesmaids said that Anne was telling the truth about the groomsmen. She asked/pressured them to, but most were kind of weirded out by the request, and I think that they successfully got that across to Dave. He called me to ask if I knew what was going on and told Dave that I was just like him, caring about Ruby more than her, and also that I wasn't there when it happened, but the timing of the story didn't match up. So Dave called me anyway. That was a weird phone call. At this point, I knew she was spouting BS, so he asked her up front what was going on. She broke everything down and told Dave everything. Let me just kind of sum it up. He was mad. He texted everyone and kicked Anne out.
Mm-hmm.
He kicked his wife out.
He kicked his newlywed wife out.
Anne is absolutely shaken.
I mean, truthfully, I would do like that's some
she said that
bitch shit.
She never considered her capable of this kind of deception and manipulation, and I don't think she has ever done something like that before. Contrary to what some commenters seem to believe, I don't hate my sister. I feel sorry for her, even though oh man, it reloaded. Sorry, you can continue. I can't get on it anymore.
Contrary to what some commenters seem to believe, I don't hate my sister. I feel sorry for her, even though I'm really hurt by what she did, because she feels so guilty and absolutely miserable, because she's worried that things will never be worked out with Dave. She's gone to bed now very upset because our mom won't even look at her. I wouldn't either, bitch. Like... She's fuming that Anne would deceive and hurt her and so many other people like this. I do understand where she's coming from. My dad is also very shocked and hurt. Anne texted Ruby. She sent her a message explaining and apologizing, but obviously Ruby is really angry and upset. She just told her that she couldn't speak to her right now, but maybe she'd call her in the morning once they'd both had a chance to calm down. Dave is probably the most hurt out of everyone, and I understand why. He wouldn't speak to Anne, but he did tell me that he really thought that he had our acceptance and that the letter she had written to him had been his most treasured possession ever since he received it, and to find out that it was false was absolutely crushing. I told him that we did accept him for who he was and that nobody blamed him, but I don't think it helped much. He has asked for distance from our family, and I understand why. I'm not sure when he'll be willing to speak to Anne again, or if he wants to be her husband after this. I wouldn't blame him if he goes on to find somebody else. And in summation, it says, thanks Reddit, it turned out everyone was way off base, although I don't think anyone could have predicted this, but a lot of the comments were very insightful and gave me food for thought, despite everyone kind of looking in the wrong directions. Except the weirdos about the dress, you know who you are. Okay.
Dude, yeah. See, Anne was sus from the beginning.
Yeah.
She was already sus. But like, that's crazy.
None of it added up. None of it added up.
None of it made sense at all. Jesus. I can't believe why did she lie about all of that stuff? He was even cool with it. He was like, just tell your family about me. Like, tell them the truth. Tell them the truth about Ruby. And she was like,
tell the truth about Dave. Like, that was the first thing. Like, that was the first fuck up. Like,
yeah, but he even consented to her telling them the truth. He was like, I want them to know. Like, and bruh, she was gaslighting the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Saying that she like didn't love her, like he didn't love her and blah blah blah. Bro, like he was being honest with you from the fucking beginning. You were the one that was lying about shit and hiding stuff because of your own pride. So
and then it blows up in her face, and she's like, not like
she's upset.
Like you don't get to be. I don't know. It's just like you've already done so much to tear down so many people. Like I don't like what.
Anne is the asshole.
Anne is the asshole.
Anne is definitely the asshole.
Well, that's been an hour. Shit.
Crazy. Oh my god. Well,
fucking wild.
What a fucking car. What a fucking roller coaster that was on. I was gonna say a car ride. I was like, wait. my car rides, not normal people car rides.
Yeah.
Anxiety-induced car rides.
Oh, I know.
But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. That was kind of a lot that we talked about. We talked about a lot of stuff. Yeah, thanks for sticking around. Episode 2. Well, granted, the first one was the pilot episode, so I guess this is now official first episode. But I would love to hear what people think. I think that'd be cool.
If you guys have any opinions on what we thought, whether it's, you know, talking about Soul or talking about fucking this roller coaster that we just went through, feel free to leave it down below in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, our emails are open to you.
Yeah, and feel free to disagree. I love when people tell me that they think opposite of me.
Yeah,
but don't just be like, no, I don't agree with you. Like, tell me why. Give me some backstory.
Tell me why.
Tell me why. Tell me why, bitch. Say that shit with your whole chest.
Say that shit. Say that shit with your whole chest.
I love when people tell me that they disagree with me, because I just like seeing different perspectives. So if you guys have any other views on stuff that we talked about today, I'd love to hear about it. If you're on the YouTube, put a comment down below down there. I would love for your opinion. And if you hate me because I don't really like Soul, then that's cool too.
I don't hate you. I just don't think you're a good person.
Hate you? I just think you're an asshole. I just think that you're literal burning trash.
Oh god.
From the freaking trash trash island in the Philippines.
Your opinion on Soul is literally an "Am I the asshole?"
Oh, honestly though. That's so funny.
But...
and maybe one time we will talk about our own "Am I the asshole?" moments on here, because I think that would be so funny.
That would be fucking hilarious.
That would be great. But yeah, thanks so much for sticking around, you guys. I'm sorry that we're so inconsistent with posting. But yeah, like this video, comment.
If you enjoyed. Only if you enjoyed.
Yeah,
if you didn't, don't fucking do that shit. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't you dare. Don't click that like button if you didn't like it. I swear to God, I will come to your house and slap you.
It would really help our mental problems if you guys actually liked it, because you guys liked it, not just because they're trying to be nice.
Yeah, and subscribe for more, because we're going to be trying to
get on a schedule.
Yes.
We hope we will get on a schedule. We're doing our best in these times with my head.
My head. Voices inside my head.
But yeah, maybe eventually in the future we'll release different kind of content, but for now, listen to us talk for a whole hour. Play us in I'm recording a video. Play us in the background where you're cleaning your room. That'd be cool. Tell us some topics you might want us to talk about. That'd be fun too.
Yeah.
The 3 people that are listening to this. Sick.
All 3 of my sleep paralysis demons.
The 3 people, which is you, me,
Dupree.
You, me, and us.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Have a great day. Happy 2021.
God, we didn't even say Happy New Year.
Oops. Should we re-record an intro? Should we say our names?
Oh god, probably.